Hi guys, this is Anna with the Paint Mixer. Happy Saturday and thank you for joining today's live session. So as many of you probably know, we are going to be doing a moonlit wave. So this is kind of our inspiration, but just know that yours is going to look slightly different, and that is what makes it so fun, is that even with the same instructions, we kind of inherently show our own creativity and own uniqueness. So with that being said, now is a good time to prep your space. So maybe grab an apron or a big t-shirt if you want to protect your outfit. We're working with acrylic paint, so be very careful of what surfaces you get the paint on, because once it dries, if it's on your clothes, carpet, it will be permanent. So protect your outfit. If you have long sleeves, go ahead and roll them up. And make sure you put your butcher paper down on whatever surface you are painting on today. Now is also a good time to get a cup of water. This will be great for rinsing out your brushes between colors. And also, little tip, I just leave my brushes in the water throughout the painting because, again, if the paint dries on the bristles, the brush is kind of donezo. So protect your brushes, grab some water, protect your space and your outfit, and let's get started. So if you have done a class with us before, you probably have your Creativity to Go kit with you. So you have either the deluxe kit, which are these little tubes of paint, or you have our standard kit, which has these little kind of paint pots. So go ahead and fill your palette with the colors we'll be using today. And those are cobalt blue, this kind of lighter creamy blue, ultramarine, the darker in the kit, white, crimson red, viridian, and black. And I was kind of mixing some colors beforehand, so that's why mine's already messy. Also, if you're using the non-deluxe kit, the standard kit, you're going to need phthalo blue, phthalo green, white, and black, and red. Pretty much all the colors. Anyway, so now that you have your palette all prepped, brushes ready, I want you to grab the larger of your two brushes. So that's going to be the mama brush, I'll refer to it. So mama brush is okay if it's a little wet. Water is actually your friend for this step. And we are going to start with the sky. So as you also notice, my canvas is much bigger than yours, and that's just so you can see a little easier. But first step is a nice kind of warm up. So I'm going to do a line to kind of separate the top 2/3 of my canvas. And then anything above that, I'm going to just start to fill in with all my blues. So this one I have right here is ultramarine. So I'm doing different blues. Can even do some cobalt, the creamier one. And notice how my brush strokes are kind of wild. They're not just big side to side. They're kind of like little X's, getting some texture and some fun patterns in your sky. Now check this out. In the example, see how the sky at the top is darker and gets lighter towards the bottom? In order to do that, we can kind of keep the darkest blues at the top, and you can even add a little bit of black. Tiny bit goes a long way. And I really like to add some purple in the sky too. So, pop quiz, how do we make purple? And I know you're not going to answer me, so I'll tell you the answer. It's really easy, just a little bit of red, crimson red, with your ultramarine blue, and then get this really pretty purple. So I'm going to add some kind of darker purple and dark blue towards the top of my sky, and try to get lighter and brighter as I get towards the horizon line. So we'll start with this darker portion first. Also, if you ever have a question, maybe something isn't making sense, then you can just log into YouTube and you can join in the little live chat there on the right. But I believe you have to be logged in. So now is a good time to make a YouTube account if you don't have one. Good news is, like, I'm live right now, but this video will be there for you. So you can always press pause and kind of rejoin after your back. But anyway, another thing to keep in mind is skies are all different. Each night sky is going to have a little different cloud coverage, a little different colors going on, so don't be afraid to have a little diversity in your sky. I'm going to add a little more purple here on the right. So I just picked up some of that crimson red and just blend it right into my blue. So the beauty of this paint is you can blend it on your palette or just directly on the canvas. I think having a little bit of purple in the sky also creates a little contrast whenever we go in and add some greens to our wave. Hope you guys are having a good Saturday. Where I am in Park City, it was just thunderstorming and hailing and raining, which usually would be a bummer on a Saturday, but since rain is so rare, I'm just loving it. Gives me an excuse to drink hot coffee and stay inside. No pressure to be outside today. All right, so check this out. I know I'm gonna have a moon on my horizon. So I'm gonna start to kind of add some white in with my blue along the horizon. It's kind of like a moon glow. So I have some white and blue mixed together. And while my paint is still wet, I'm just going to kind of do those same brush strokes, those little X's, and blend some brightness down by the horizon. And it makes sense. So anytime you have a sunrise or moonrise, it's going to be brightest, closest to the sun or the moon, right? That's putting off all the light. That's your light source. So I'm kind of just creating a little space of brightness where my moon's going to go. Same brush techniques, those little X's. And another tip, keep your brush a little damp. It will help all of those colors blend nicely. Okay, step back, take a look, and kind of make some decisions. So right now, I love the glow, but I think I want this top to be a little darker. So I am going to hit it with some more dark blue and even a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of black. I just like the drama of having some contrast from light to dark. That's just me. You are the artist though, so whatever decision you make is the right decision. So this experience is more about fun art than fine art. So have fun. Don't worry about it being perfect, because it won't be. Nothing is perfect, which is good news for us. Also, as you're going along, don't forget your side edges. So as you're doing your sky, you can continue that color onto your top and side edges. Makes it look really nice and complete and professional. And then you don't have to spend a lot of money on framing. I don't know about you guys, but every time I go to get something framed, I am shocked. I'm like, wait, what? How much money is this frame? So we can avoid that by just painting our edges. All right, so don't forget to step back from your piece every now and again and kind of make some assessments, because sometimes if you're up really close, you miss the big picture and it's kind of hard to see what all is going on. So I'm feeling pretty good about the sky. I like all the brush strokes in there. It already creates some fun texture. I like the glow where I'm going to put my moon. So now I can start thinking about the water. So let's just kind of take a look at the example real quick. All right, so on this example, we have a nice flat horizon, and then it curves up into the wave. So pretty much, see a letter J. It's kind of backwards because I'm being mirrored to you guys, but you can think of it just as like a little J stroke. But all of the brush strokes, see how they follow into the wave? So keep that in mind as you make your wave, to have your brush strokes trace that shape. So just kind of build up the structure of your wave. So I don't even have to wait for my sky to dry, which is pretty cool. Since I'm just going to do some horizontal strokes in this space I haven't touched yet. So grabbing my mama brush again, rinsing her out really well. Gonna pick up some more blue. It can be either of the blues, doesn't really matter. But the key here is to add a little green. So remember that viridian we have on the palette? Grab a little bit of green in with your blues and just start to create your horizon line. So the horizon line is just where the water meets the waves, right? Or sorry, where the sky meets the water. And I'm just gonna do some horizontal strokes. So now we can ditch our textured sky stroke and make some just really nice, smooth side to side strokes, horizontal strokes. And you may need to reload the blues on your palette. Don't be afraid to use a lot of paint. And by having a variety of colors, see how some strokes are more blue and some are more green? It starts to build up that reflective surface of the water. Don't forget to dip your brush in the water every now and again too. Helps the paint flow really smooth, especially when you're doing water. You don't want a dry brush. The appearance of water is kind of smooth and glassy, and water on your brush helps the paint flow nicely. All right, check it out. I got some nice water happening. I might even kind of do one more stroke to sure up my horizon line. All right, that's straight enough for now. Always more challenging when you're holding it and it's not setting on a table or an easel. But now I'm going to sketch my wave. So when I say sketch, that just means starting really lightly. I'm not kind of filling it in yet. I'm just gonna get the shape that I want. So for this, you might wanna swap to your baby brush. That's the little guy. And feel free to watch first. So you can watch and then take it to the canvas. I also suggest practicing too on your butcher paper because practice always helps me. So I'm just gonna pick up some white for my sketch because it's really easy to cover up. So following my horizon line and then making that J stroke, that's gonna be my inside of the wave. And then I'm just gonna kind of follow it back around. Always start smaller and skinnier than you think. Because if I just put a big honking stroke on there and it was like way wider than I wanted, it'd be hard to cover up. But since it's pretty skinny, I can kind of beef it up in areas that I want. And kind of make it a little more fluid. All right, so now I'm gonna step back and look at my wave and say, do I like it? Do I want it to be wider? Do I want it to be taller? Hard to shrink your wave, so that's why we start small, but now I'm kind of feeling pretty good. I also know that later on, we'll be adding some whitewash on the top, so I don't want it to be too tall and then not have any place to put the whitewash. So I'm feeling pretty good about this shape. Definitely take your time and kind of sketching the shape you want. But then we're just gonna take these colors we've made here on our ocean and continue them up, following our brush strokes the whole time. Swapping back to the mama brush and grabbing some blue, some green, and maybe even some white in there too. And just following up. So think about each brush stroke as tracing your wave. So unlike painting like a wall in your house, we just go back and forth mindlessly. Take a little bit of care and have some thoughtfulness with the brush strokes in here. So check it out. Put a little white on the brush and see how that just adds a little even more shape to my wave. Ooh, hand's getting tired holding this guy up. And definitely need to reload my blue soon. But for now, making some green, more blue. And make sure your brush strokes kind of lead back into our ocean, right? Flattens out over here. And taking it all the way to the corner. We don't want to leave any space without paint. You know, I think it would be a really fun little addition to this. It's like a dolphin or a little moonlight surfer. Surfing at night would be terrifying. I don't know anyone that does that. I was talking last night with friends about sharks and surfing. So this is fresh in my mind, being a little scared of sharks. Luckily in Utah, we don't have too many sharks. Okay, check it out. Definitely make sure that the wave color stands out from your background color. If you're like, man, I can't really see where my wave ends and my sky begins, maybe up the contrast. So upping the contrast could be an increase of white to make it lighter, or an increase in dark blue to make it darker. So I got my main kind of C-shaped wave. Now we get to add kind of the top portion and the whitewash. So you see how it overlaps a little bit and kind of creates some three-dimensionality. So how we do this is really easy. Pretty much using that baby brush to sketch again. So baby brush and white paint. I'm just going to kind of first go over the top and then scoop it back towards the side of my canvas. So it kind of follows the top and then scoops under, and it gets thinner as it goes back to the side of the canvas. It's almost like a little banana on top. So take your time in kind of creating that shape, because it's pretty important to have this the shape on top. So at this point, we get to add some more kind of whitewash texture. Since you're using a smaller canvas, you can use your baby brush to kind of start to add some sweeping foaminess. I love to kind of flick the brush a little bit, almost like little flames. And I like to do this when my wave is still a little wet, so that, check this out, when you put the white, it picks up some of that wet blue paint, and you get some nice mid-tones. So it's less opaque, and instead it's a little more translucent and blended. Fun. All right, keep adding this texture. I think I want to make it a little taller too. You know, art is not like a cookie recipe. It's not like baking where it's the same every time. You kind of just throw a little bit of this in, a little bit of that in. And instead of tasting your painting, you kind of just step back and look at it and say, do I need any more of this or that? So that's what I'm doing right now, just kind of getting that wave right. But again, these brush strokes are still following the curve of the wave. I wish I could see your waves. I bet they're beautiful. Okay, we got some nice contrast now from the sky to the top of the wave, darkness and lightness. Now, if you want, this is optional, you can add a couple really light strokes to reinforce the shape of your wave. So check this out. I have my baby brush and white and a little bit of blue, so a very pale blue. I'm just going to kind of lightly follow the shape of my wave. And there we go. Okay, so now I want to let this part totally dry. So make sure your sky is totally dry where it's glowing, because we're going to put our moon there. So if yours is still a little wet, you can give it a shake. That definitely helps the drying process. If it's sunny outside, you can always put it in the sun. That's hyperspeed drying. But mine is totally dry in the sky for my moon. So now you can just take that baby brush and white paint. And please let me know if you have any questions. But this is pretty simple. If you can make the letter O, you can make a moon. So I'm kind of thinking my moon is going to be, well, you can really put it anywhere. Maybe I'll put it a little off center so it's not as centered. And I'm just going to kind of create a little half O, cut off by my ocean. The moon is just rising. And always start smaller than you think, right? Just with the wave, it's hard to shrink it. So maybe start your moon pretty tiny, and then you can kind of build up to the width you like. Once your moon is the right size, then you can just fill it in with white. Kind of being careful to avoid the horizon line. Nice bright moon. I think it was a full moon last night. It was very, very full. I don't know if it was exactly the full moon, but very pretty and bright nonetheless. Awesome. So check this out. We got our nice bright moon, a little bit of glow on the horizon around the moon. And if you want to up the glow factor, baby brush, white, and a little bit of blue. So getting that pale blue again, white and a little bit of blue. Doesn't matter if it's the cobalt or the ultramarine. Either works. Baby brush, and I'm just going to go side to side over the moon. Really lightly, so check it out. Just going side to side. And I don't even have that much paint on the brush. That's key too. So not a lot of paint. And I can even pick up some of the white from my moon to kind of blend it outward. This is pretty subtle. I hope you guys can see this. I can barely see this. Maybe a little more white so you can see. So check it out. Just going side to side. Like a little halo, a little moon halo. And just letting your brush kind of dissipate outward. And then all of a sudden, when you step back, see how the moon is really gleaming? Very, very nice. If you want a little water, can go a long way in kind of spreading that paint outward. If you ever feel like your brush is kind of scratchy and dry, add some water to the brush, and that will help the paint flow smoothly, even when you don't have that much paint on your brush. All right, nice moon glow. Got my wave, got the whitewash. Now we get to add some reflection of our moon. So if you have ever seen a moon or a sun above water, there's kind of reflective lines that follow the path or underneath your light source. And you can think of these as just horizontal kind of gleaming lights. This one, see how it gets a little smaller as it gets closer to the bottom of the canvas? We're gonna do the same thing. And this is with either the mama or the baby brush, whichever you feel more comfortable with. I'm gonna use the mama just because I'm using a much larger canvas, but pretty much I'm gonna pick up that light blue we just used to add the glow to our moon, and just very lightly going side to side underneath the moon. And it's really up to you how much glow and reflection you add. So if you really like this, you can keep going with it, starting with light blue and then maybe adding white. And you can also add some deeper blue in there too. Think of it as for every highlight, there's usually a shadow. So I'm going to take some of this dark blue now, kind of go between my highlights. And these do not have to be perfect lines. I actually think it looks best if some of them are a little wiggly. All right. Take them as low as you like. Heck, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Why not? Okay, at this point, I'm going to step back, look at it from a distance, and think, how's my wave looking? How is my sun? Reflection? Do I need anything else? These little check-ins are pretty important because, you only got so much blending time before it dries. But now, another really fun part, using that same technique that we made our moon glow, we're going to create some little star glows. So think about using not very much paint on your brush, baby brush, and a little bit of white and blue for the light blue, white and blue, baby brush, and just going to start to make little swirly whirlies in the sky. So this isn't exactly my dot star, this is just the glow around it. So little swirls. And remember, you don't want a lot of paint on your brush. If it looks like a full moon, like huge dots, remove some paint from your brush. How do you remove paint from your brush? Dab it on the napkin, and then you're good to go. So just add little bits of glow all around. Again, white and blue. Not much paint on the brush, very key. Dab it on the napkin if you're not sure. There's no right or wrong number of stars. It's really up to you. I feel like the glow around the stars happens when it's really humid. Something I don't experience too much anymore. All right. Couple swirlies, some glowy orbs in the sky. These are the base of where we're going to put our stars. All right, I'm feeling pretty good with the amount of glowy guys I have. Now we get to use the side of the brush that we rarely use, and that is the tail end. That is the wooden side of your brush. So this makes a really great dot maker. So you pretty much dip and dot. You're going to dip it in white paint and then dot it in the middle of our little glowy orbs. And see how it makes really awesome individual stars. And some can be bigger than the others. I feel like in nature, not all stars are the same size, right? So some can be a little bigger if you want. And feel free to add more stars that don't even have a glowy bit. They can just be all over. The key for stars is to try to not make them perfectly ordered, like polka dots. Like, do your best to make them as random as you can. Harder than you think. Now, this technique of doing the dots, you can also use to add some kind of whitewash and splatter effect around your wave right here. So from here on out, totally optional. If you love your wave and you don't want to risk messing it up, which I totally understand, don't have to do this. But I'm going to tell you how to splatter paint. And you can also just do this technique if the splatter paint feels a little messy or out of control for your home. Understand that too. So for splatter painting, much easier to have your painting laying flat. Working with gravity versus having it upright and kind of trying to flick at it. Much easier to have it flat. And I'll show you, how about maybe if you watch it first, I'll show you what the splatter paint looks like, and then you can decide if you want to do it. This is kind of a big decision. But the key here is the consistency of your paint. And that is going to be watered down, kind of like the consistency of hot sauce. So I have my palette here. There's my white paint, and I'm just going to add a lot of water. So full drips, full brushes full of water, and then swirling it around, getting that white paint incorporated with the water until it's like the consistency of hot sauce, like Tabasco sauce. So real runny and wet. Got my mama brush loaded up. It'll be pretty hard with the baby brush. It doesn't hold much paint. So mama brush, this will be fun to do. I'm like leaning this on my computer. All right, mama brush loaded up with paint, and then I'm just gonna tap right here on the gold part. See how the paint is starting to splatter and come off? It's a little unpredictable, so I can't make any promises of what yours is really gonna do, but just keep lightly tapping. We don't wanna do any big flicks, like Jackson Pollock style. We're gonna keep it a little more under control. Since you are at your house, I have some sweet people looking at me through the door. Like, what is this girl doing? Okay, so here's what the splatter paint ends up looking like. I think it's super fun. I love the way it comes out. If you start tapping your brush and nothing's happening, no paint is coming off the bristles when you tap, add more water. If your drops are huge and like really taking over, you probably have too much water. So if you can always practice doing the splatter on the butcher paper until you get the right size of splat, and then you can take it to the canvas. Definitely practice and think about it before you do it, because once you do it, hard to go back. Hard to erase your splatter paint. So at this point, definitely take a step back, make some decisions like, do I want to add any more highlights in my wave? Do I want to add any more stars? Or do I love it? Are you stoked? If you love it and are feeling really good, the last step to any painting is to sign it. So initials, keep it real simple. Gallery standard is the bottom right-hand corner. But that's about it for this one. This one is I think it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple, not too many colors, pretty simple shapes. I feel like it's a little kind of, once you're in the zone with the stars, it's really easy to just get enveloped. So take your time with your wave and splattering, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm gonna set this right here off to the side to just show you how different the examples are. Right? Both of these were done by artists at the Paint Mixer, but look how different. And just know that yours is going to be different too, and that's awesome. That's what makes this so unique and fun, is that whether you think you're an artist or not, you have your own style. Your painting is going to be a unique reflection of you. So celebrate your differences. If you have any questions, you can add them in the chat box. But other than that, I just want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Keep looking at what offerings we have at thepaintmixer.com. We are slowly opening our studios up for in-studio classes, but are offering a lot of private events and off-site events. So things like hosting a painting class in your front yard with your closest friends and your coworkers. Super fun. So stay up to date at thepaintmixer.com. And I'm going to share our Instagram tag right now at _paintmixer. So feel free to tag us when you're done with your wave painting. so I can see what you made today. That's the part I miss most about this, is that I can't really see yours. So definitely share on Instagram what you made, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I appreciate you guys, and keep creating. All right, thanks so much.